Okay, agenda. Daniel or Sipke, Daniel will show us something. He said Zoltan wants to show us something. He said, how long for you two?
For me, it's 10 minutes, I think, for Daniel.
With Sipke. 10 minutes, Zoltan?
2 hours.
Zoltan 2 hours, yeah. He always says 5 minutes and then it's like 50 minutes, I agree. We'll see, but if Sipke is just 10, that should be fine. Does anyone else have some demo today? I have the usual ones, the new features. Hybrid. By the way, sorry for last week to everyone. Mandatory Microsoft meeting, and so Bitcoin. Yeah, this is the joke of the week.
And I paid for this hat with Bitcoin.
Yeah, good.
You can imagine.
Okay, so let's start with the status first, and then we'll chain with the demos. So status. Let me share my screen. We have a lot of new attendees today. I will introduce one of them after. Sharing screen. Stop. Benedek, I can't see you, so make a sign. Well, I can't see you anymore. Yes, I can. A presenter locked the video spotlight on someone. Okay, nice. But it's not moving for me.
Please don't do that.
Yeah. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
no.
I can now.
Okay. Pinned. And this. Okay, so this thing. So I will start at 8 days ago. I think I showed it to you. Missing, yeah. And then moving group ID checkup as updates are made too easily. What is that? I didn't see this going through.
Too early. Yeah. So what was happening is that the group ID, basically in the settings tab on the bottom left-hand side, when you make a change and you hit save, it will go and do other settings on different groups when it shouldn't be. It should be only on that group ID. You put some new logic in, but you moved it down. And it needed just to be moved up. So
I moved it down, so you moved it up?
Yes.
This is typically something which will create a bug. If I moved it down, there was a reason.
You introduced a bug.
So it's on N17X, and I'm just using that, so I didn't see anything broken. But
it fixed what I needed.
Yeah, but no, it fixed what I needed, and so many use cases. So I look at why I moved it down, because if I moved it down on tourist, there was a reason, like something to be done before, for instance, like this. You see this thing. So I'll look at it, and please provide at least a bug and a repro to see what the bug is. And
I didn't realize. Well, there's 2 bugs for it. I just didn't realize at the time that they.
Okay.
That's all.
So this one is fine. It's just specifying add foot where it's by default. This one is to fix the encryption of passwords, because we were not going through the lazy loaders, which was doing that in the property level. So that's fine. That's fine, and it's just in 1.x because it's related to the shift change. This one is from me. It's just using the base URL if there is one in some cases as a fallback. I have a website with a web proxy, a reverse proxy, and the URL was wrong. It needs to use the base URL sometimes. Fixing redirection to log off. Yep. It's just that the return URL was not passed in the logout button from the dashboard. So it will go to the, so if you have a multi-tenant website, it will go to the main website when you log out, and it should stay on the tenant. There might be a bug actually open for that, but I could not find it. I think Bertrand maybe opened it a while ago. This is also a bug which exists on the Codeplex, but I didn't look for that. I'm sure we'll find it and close it. So before this fix, the profile URLs, the thumbnails, for instance, were using the name of the profile in the URL plus the name of the resource. And the name of the resource can be huge, and huge plus huge equal even more huge, which means that sometimes you will have very long, very deep path or folders on your media folder, and it will break the file system. You could not even delete the folders; they are too long. Windows will not accept that from the Explorer. So now I'm using MD5 hashes to just store the file names, the resource names. So it's still in the /profiles/ the name of the profile, but then a hash to get the file name, dot the same extension. So it's breaking nothing, it's just preventing some issues, and it's just for thumbnails. Implementing RssPart. That's the only new feature I did. Weird. Or maybe this, but I fixed it before. I'll see. So this is a new feature I implemented. Yes, I did something else. I will show you. And this is the first demo for today. Let me show you. We talked about it a few weeks ago. The issue was about RSS feeds which could contain stuff that you don't want, like content items which don't have auto routes in projections, for instance, and you don't want to display the URL, so you don't want to show them. And the best solution we defined was to be able to actually override anything that is written in the RSS feed. So there I have a tenant, which is a blog, which is Bertrand's blog. And if I go to the admin, and I go, so there is a new feature. I need to change the name because I think I actually messed up with the name. It's in the tokens module. It's called also tokens, so that's why it's wrong. It should be tokens feeds or feed tokens or whatever. Provides a content part to customize RSS fields based on tokens. So it's a new RssPart. I have added that to blog posts. So if I go to blog posts here, I've added an RssPart. Okay, and you can attach it to anything. And here you have the fields for the main RSS fields that you can change. Title, link, description, author, category, enclosure, update, and source. And in this example, what I'm doing is just that for the link, I'm reusing the current link text, which is given by the default RSS feed provider, and I'm adding a question mark and source equals RSS. And for the enclosure, I'm adding an image tag, which points to Weblogs Media, his main picture. So now if I go to the website and I look at the RSS feed, which is this one, the links of the blog post will have this sort added. So this is a way for you to either redefine what content will be in the RSS feeds or to alter them. So in this case, for instance, we could also change description to just get a summary of the description or limits. So this will be done like this, and you see the purpose here for the RSS. You could say, oh, for my RSS readers, I just show them the first paragraph or the first 100 words, and then if they want to see the full article, they will go on my weblog. This is an example usage, but you get it. It's just about having tokens for RSS feeds. See. So description, you could say take the actual description, and because it's a text, you can say dot limit. I think it's called limit, and for instance 200 chars. So to limit the length of the description. Yeah, I think there's also some tags to remove the HTML or something like that. Or I will add this one. Trim and limit. You see, an ellipsis. So that's it for this feature. Also, I don't think I've shown it to you. In the blog properties, I have added oh yes, I did that last week, and oh no, I did 2 weeks ago. It's because there was no meeting last week. That's why I'm confused here. Okay, so this thing is new too. This feed proxy URL will let you define feed burner URL on your blog directly, and it will also show you which feed you need to use for the feed URL. And this way, when you go here, you will be able to get a custom RSS URL if you want to. You can also define where did I put it? In the admin too, here. Comments. Yes, I also added a way to close comments automatically without a workflow after X days, okay? And automatically the comments will be closed. What did I add to? I also added from Bertrand's module with his authorization, and he was quite happy actually. What did I add? A tags cloud module feature. Cloud here, enable, and you will have a widget, the one from Bertrand, which will compute the tag cloud for anything. And you can also restrict on which container you want the tag cloud to be built on, like Bertrand did. And the feed burner stuff is also from Bertrand, but I did now default in the blog module.
Those were features from the Vandelay Industries module, and I've removed those features from there already. If you take the source code version, those features are gone.
Because they are in core now. So which will let me actually go further than just 8 days, because it was actually 16 days. Fix some Azure project stuff. Fixed this thing. If you had a blob storage with some URL encoding chars, they will not be decoded and it will fail. So this is fixed. This is the expiration setting feature that I just added and showed you. I've added that also. Now if you get a blog, you can go to /archive and you will have a page with the archive. Okay, not just a widget, also a page. RSS feed proxies, shifting blog part. So I shifted the blog part, so there should be one less record. There is actually, and I also upgraded the upgrade module for that. Piotr updated the Castle libraries. This is really risky. It hasn't it hasn't showed any issue right now for my local tests, but we have to be aware of that. If you see any resolution or proxy issue, just let us know, because this might be because of the upgrade.
Is there any that upgrade? Was there any reason why we upgraded? I mean, or did we just upgrade because the libraries were out of date?
Because you needed a new feature in the new library.
That was literally it. Okay, fine.
Yeah. And this is not how we should do that, because Hibernate is also using castle proxies, and there might be some conflicts in terms of version because you have a custom build of Hibernate. It doesn't break anything right now, so it should be safe. This should be fine. Safe is another story. We'll see. It's safe until we find an issue. I moved the Azure Media to its own feature by creating a default feature for Azure. I talked about it with Daniel, and it was okay, and it works fine. So this is fine. So you can just enable Azure Media, or you can just enable Azure without enabling Media. I fixed also the image edition by using a custom proxy, but I think we talked about it. That's weird. So now, yeah, so it's using a local proxy to download the image when you want to edit it. So the edition will be local to your computer, wherever the media is stored. Tag Cloud is done. I fixed the remaining issues of Markdown editors that I showed last meeting. I fixed also some absolute URL construction. This was Sipke's change, nothing important. Course issues I explained, nothing important. And this we already saw 14 days ago. So that's done for the status. Any question? Nothing on the chat, yes, for Signalar. I don't know what is that. I can't sleep for months, the suspense is killing me. TBM. Yeah, you'll see one day. Okay, so yeah, Rupali is still here. Rupali is a PM at Microsoft Open Technology, sorry. This is where people do open source in Microsoft, like Entity Framework, Signalar, OWIN. All these projects made at Microsoft have their IP owned by Microsoft Open Technologies. And she's here because next week she will do a demonstration about something they've been working on for Orchard, and that should be in core. Unless there is a big issue with that, we'll see after the demo, and if anyone has something to say against it. But she will demo it next week.
Will it ship with 1.8 or 1.7.3?
1.8 because it's based on 1.8 features.
Okay.
Actually, the 1.8 branch. And to be completely transparent, Daniel and Sipke worked on this module for MS OpenTech. Most of you know about it and know why. If you don't know why, it's because you don't need to know why. Mostly because Daniel and Sipke had the competencies for doing this module. You'll see why next week, and you'll understand. Demos. Daniel, because you have a short one.
Yes.
This is not. Don't.
What's that?
I just said I'm gonna leave it to Sipke to demo this one.
Okay.
Okay. So what we did was we built a module because it was basically born out of an immediate need. It's called Ajax widgets, and it enables widgets to be loaded through Ajax, which is great when you have output cast pages, but on those pages you have like widgets that are expensive to render, and you want to, like donut casting basically. That's a scenario that enables this module. I'll share my screen and show you. So if you can see my screen, then let me know.
I see it.
Benedict, we are waiting for Benedict.
Okay, and Benedict,
still loading.
you see it? Oh, it's still loading. Okay.
For those who are new at the meeting, we are waiting for Benedict because he is recording the meeting. So if he can't see,
Yes,
there's no point in recording.
I got it now, thanks.
Still loading?
No, he said he's ready.
Okay, cool. So the module is called Ajax widget, and it has a single feature currently, and essentially it adds two parts: an Ajax widget part, which you can attach to it provides a new widget called Ajax widget, and that was the initial idea because the need was to load widgets asynchronously. So the initial idea was to introduce a new widget called Ajax widget, and then the user could select an existing widget that should be loaded asynchronously. And then the idea evolved, and we introduced a new part called Ajaxify part, which you can attach to a widget type or any content type, which provides a checkbox so that you can, so that Orchard will load the widget or content asynchronously. And this also works on output cast pages. So let me show how this works. We'll enable the feature. And now it will have added two parts. Actually, the Ajax widget part isn't that interesting, but I'm going to show it nonetheless because it will be interesting if it supports picking content. Currently, you can select widgets, but it would be much better if you can choose any content that you want to show as a widget but load it asynchronously. But let's start with the Ajaxify part. Oh, first let's explain how this is going to work. For example, we have three widgets here and a menu widget there, and let's say we want to load them asynchronously. We would go to content definition, and those three widgets are of type HTML widget. We attach the Ajaxify part, which turns an existing widget type into one that can be loaded asynchronously via Ajax. Okay, so now if you go to widgets and edit the first leader or side widget, we'll see a new checkbox called Ajaxify. We save it, and we'll do the same for the other two. Now if we go to the front end, you'll see that those are loading asynchronously. I'm not sure if you can see that, if there's a lag, but there.
I think we saw that.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Well, and same. This works for any type of widget.
Menu.
One thing to keep. Yeah, menu works as well. So we go to the menu widget type. Attach the part. Actually, let's also do it for the page content type just for fun. So let's Ajaxify the homepage.
Does it really work?
Yeah.
The shapes of the page will be
it
also.
It works as long as the shapes of the parts and fields are inside of the content zone, the local content zone. As soon as you use placement and info to place shapes to global zones, then it won't. Those will be, rendered and cast.
But
so that won't be updated.
Unless they are widgets.
Unless they are widgets.
What about the script includes, script requires that happen inside shapes?
Excellent point. That was my next caveat to mention. If your widget requires, including scripts and styles, that's not going to be included, of course, because it's not going to be included if you use the Resource Manager API. because your page will already be rendered. But Daniel added a feature requirement for that, or a to-do on the GitHub project site to add support for adding scripts and styles. You could do it now by attaching a content field where you include the scripts and other resources that you need, and then override the view and then include it yourself. Without using the resource manager API, of course, you would have to. It's kind of ugly because it would be included somewhere in the body of the HTML document, but that is a workaround. Alternatively, you would load your resources in your layout file.
So Sipke, what we did to work around this was to add two text fields to the Ajaxify part, and then aside from just checking that checkbox, you can enter in like a semicolon separated list of any resource names or script or style file names that you want included, and it will actually invoke the resource manager to load those at the same time that the Ajax widget is loaded on the page.
Oh, and does it work? Does that because when the Ajaxified widget is being loaded, that won't include the resource here.
No, it's not rendered at the time when the Ajax content is requested. It's it's when the surrounding widget is rendered, basically.
That's clever. So that looks like this. So here you see the the placeholder diffs, and at this time it would have already been rendered here at either the head or at the foot, just below the body.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay. So if I refresh this page, you see it's all.
The other solution is to actually render it, but render it in an empty zone. So the resource manager will be called and will render the resources, but the content will be in a null target. It's like a pipe null in a command.
No, I'm not sure.
I'll explain you. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so that's the Ajaxify part. It's useful and it's great when you enable output caching. It also offers a route, so you would have to check. You would have to disable caching for this route because this is the Ajaxify content route. If this is cached, then and you have an interactive widget or a dynamic widget, then that wouldn't work, of course. So this is important to know about.
Should clarify maybe, Sipke, that the need that we have for this, that we wanted to enable output caching for our start page on our site, but we have some of the content on that page is so dynamic by nature that we don't want to cache it. So this is kind of our way to simulate, donut caching just by rendering some of the content via Ajax and then disabling output caching for that content, or even you don't even have to disable it. You can set it to a much shorter duration if you want. That's what we did. So we cached the start page with 5 minutes and cached the Ajax loaded content with like 15 seconds, which works out fine for us.
Exactly. So that's Ajaxify part. We initially added a new widget type called Ajax widget, which you can find here. And currently, it enables you to choose a widget to render. So you could choose the second aside, for example. We have to provide a name. But of course, to make this work nicely, you would have to move the other one to the disabled layer so that it won't be rendered. And with the Ajaxify part, it's basically, in this scenario, it's useless. But what could be useful is to change this widget picker here with a content picker. So it would enable you to render any type of content in a widget asynchronously. And it would be similar like the content picker widget demo I did on Orchard Harvest in Amsterdam, but this time it would be Ajaxified. If you want to try it out, it's here on GitHub. I'll paste it in the URL.
It's not on a gallery?
Not yet, but
What?
we'll add it to the gallery shortly.
What's neat about it also, sorry, Sipke, just wanted to call out, what's neat about it is that after the widget has been loaded via Ajax and the loading content replaced, the page markup is actually completely identical to what it would have been if you had not Ajax loaded the widget. So it's, at that point, it's indistinguishable.
Yeah, exactly. So if you use this feature, your final markup will still be the same. You won't see any additional HTML elements. So I think that's it. Daniel, did I forget something else?
Is there a crawlers mode?
A what? A crawlers mode?
So you can add some browser info filters to say, oh, if it's Google crawler, just don't use that and render the text directly.
Point. We don't currently have the feature, but I think we should definitely add that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What happens if someone has a screen reader?
Same thing.
Same thing, same problem? Okay.
Yeah, you need to give a set of browser tags to ignore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent suggestion. We should add that.
Does this work with the content wrappers and the widget wrappers?
No, it works like I can show you quickly.
It will wrap nothing. or not even wrap. No, it won't display the shape. So I should know. Okay. So yes, it will work. By the way, that it won't display anything, but it will work.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically describing the widget and the content shapes, and then if the Ajaxify part is attached and it's set to true, then it's changing the shape type to a custom shape view here. For example, this is the content Ajaxified shape view, and this is basically our wrapper version, and then we'll render some other shape, Ajax widget part loading, which you can override in your view if you want. So right now we're just showing the loading text, but you can override the shape, of course, with a nice spinner or whatever. And that's how it works. And it also includes some script, which will do the loading of the...
Don't forget @ around that loading, Sipke.
Come again, Nick?
Don't forget the localization on the loading.
Yeah, excellent suggestion. We should localize it.
Such an amateur.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do it later. Thank you.
Hey Sipke, have you thought about using Web API and rendering just the content item to string in 1.8? There is a possibility of doing that, so it could be a bit faster, I guess.
I'm not sure if it will be faster, but it could make sense because right now we have our content controller doing the rendering. If it can be done by the Web API, but the Web API doesn't return a shape, I guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to.
API?
You could render the
what? In JSON? In Excel?
Yeah, and return it in JSON.
The why?
With some metadata, probably. Maybe the list of resources to load or something. It could be easier. I don't know.
Well, if it can return a shape parser result, then maybe we can get rid of this controller.
Use the controller. You will delete the controller to create another controller. You have MC controller, that works. Good.
Oh, you would have to create a controller even though we have the Web API with the.
Yeah, because the Web API will have a controller and action. Same thing.
But that's not part of Orchard Core.
Yes, and the MVC controller. You already have it. It works. There is no advantage of using Web API.
Exactly.
Here, there is no content negotiation.
No.
So why would you want to use that? There is no cause, so why would you want to use that?
Yeah.
You got it, it works. So you don't need Web API, unless you find a reason to use Web API, and I don't find one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
So next, Zoltan.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's like it will talk about multitenancy.
Yeah,
how did you know?
No, I just saw a tweet, and I assume it will only work on one text. Because good luck with multitenancy on the previous version.
You're a freaking psychic, Sébastien. I will be careful what to think now because you can read my mind. Okay. Please
I just read your mind. This is disgusting, Zoltan. Oh no.
Maybe need a little tinfoil hat, you know?
I shut up.
Go ahead, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So what we have been working on at Lombic for a few weeks, months, years is called .nest. Because what we wanted to do is software as a service for Orchard, so like WordPress.com is to WordPress. With multitenancy, so Sébastien was right. And this is the result. It's still in preview, but it works. And I think it's nice to see it in action. So we would like to demo it shortly. Now this is really running on one.x. There's quite some technology behind it, but let's see first what this is. So this is .nest, and if you sign up and everything, you will be able to create tenants. So I created one. It will be a blog sometime in the future, but nevertheless, you can create tenants here. Like I don't know what should I create? Like meeting demo, and let that be meeting demo. We could also give some description. And this tenant will reside under a subdomain by default, but you can also use custom domains. It's free for now, but this will be a paid feature. And now that we have a tenant, we can also set it up, of course. And it just works as Orchard normally and Multitenancy normally. So this will be a meeting demo, admin, password, and password again. You can see there is no option to set the data connection because that's handled automatically, of course. There are also many pieces of innovation behind it. While this is loading, let me also share another link here. So the module that drives, or rather the suite of modules, and rather a comprehensive technology suite, that drives .nest and enables us to have a very efficient and very maintainable multi-tenant architecture here is called the Lombic Hosting Suite. We have solved quite a lot of problems that arose there, like this here. Now that our tenant is loaded, the shell settings are not stored in settings.txt, but in the database. So that means the web server doesn't have to store shell settings. And furthermore, the web server can be fully stateless because not just shell settings aren't stored in the storage, in the local storage, but for example, reports. Well, here are no reports yet, but yeah, this is the reports feature I blogged about a few weeks ago or a few days ago because nobody uses it. But reports isn't using files neither. And furthermore, there are no files. There are no files for warm-up needed here because it's handled through a reverse proxy. So you won't be able to enable warm-up here because we disabled it because you don't have to care about warm-up. It's not even here Because as you may know, I've also pushed some time ago a fix for a very old outstanding issue that lets you hide modules for tenants, just as themes can be hidden for tenants. Furthermore, this module is not just hidden. You really can't enable it, even if you try it from a command, because you can use commands. So you can enable import/export, and you can use commands as you wish. But there are some modules that just won't let enable themselves. There are also some other pieces of quite remarkable, I think, technology behind it, and some of them we will open source or we have open sourced, like this one below. You have already seen recipe remat executor. I've demoed it a few weeks ago. Probably you've also seen read-only, because that's quite an old module from us. But there is something else open source called distributed events as well, because the web servers under .NET are not just stateless, so that means we can spin them up and down, we can scale the application out, but we have also thought about solving issues with multi-node setups, because as you may know, out of the box, Orchard has some issues with multi-server setups. Notably, signals or anything stored in the cache manager, as opposed to the newer cache service, are not propagated through nodes, because this is a local cache. Now, distributed events is a quite generic approach to solve not just this, but the whole multi-server issues, or partly the multi-server issues generally. Because distributed events contains, well, let me show the features, contains some multiple features. Well, there is a base feature that lets you propagate events called distributed events, of course, through multiple servers of a server farm. So you can raise an event on one server, and all of the other servers will get notified about it. This is used to propagate signals. So cache manager changes are now propagated, or not just cache manager, but any signal is propagated through the web form. Also, shell changes are propagated. So if you change, and not just shell changes, but shell descriptor changes. So if you change something on a tenant, like the available themes or modules, that will be propagated very fast. Also, if you enable or disable a module or a theme, that will be propagated as well. And this is open source, so you can use it. And this is also behind .NET. Furthermore, there are some other multi-tenancy related technologies here, like something that Sébastien has already seen. Well, I won't be able to demo it because, well, there is nothing to demo it, nothing really to demo. It works well if you don't even notice it, because this tenant here is not just started with the app start. It started lazily. So if about 1 hour passes without any request to this tenant, then it will time out and go to sleep. So that means the next time when there's a request to it, it will wake up and the shell will be started. So that means during that, so it's basically app recycle for tenants, and it's not just important because you can swap out tenants and put them to sleep, but you also don't have to start all of the tenants when the application starts. That's a main point, because when you have hundreds of tenants, the application start will be very long. But here, the application under the tenants of .NET, it just starts a single tenant, and any other tenants will be just started on demand. Yeah, so there are quite some things. Yeah, and there is also a forum module, by the way, by Nick, of course. We use Nick's forum module, not just here, but on some other sites as well, from us. yeah, there is just one thread yet, but probably you will see many more. So, do you guys have any remarks or questions?
Not bad. Cool.
I'm happy, Nick, that you find it truly awesome.
Zoltan, how do you do the cross farm node signaling?
It's a very simple implement. Well, the generic idea is very simple. The events are like an event queue stored in a database table, and they are then read continuous or not continuously, but there is a polling mechanism that reads them every minute. So there's a latency. But this is just a very basic implementation, so the polling implementation. We have also other implementations that, for example, there's one that uses a file system watcher. So if you have a shared storage that you can use file system watchers on, then any change, so any event raised will be raised on other server nodes very quickly.
Cool.
So by events,
I've been toying with the idea of using an Azure queue for something like this. That's an implementation that one could do, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So one other implementation regarding Azure we have thought about, and it's halfway done. It's not completely, to have this triggering mechanism. So the queue stays in the database, but this triggering mechanism that notifies the other servers could be done through the configuration events of cloud services. So you can just change something in the configuration, and the event will be raised on all of the nodes pretty much instantly.
Yeah.
So Zoltan, do you by distributed events, do you mean the events, the event bus, or the signals? Because I'm a bit confused.
So the module is called distributed events. It has to do something with orchard events, because it also uses orchard events, but that doesn't mean that all of the orchard events are raised on all of the other nodes, because that wouldn't be same.
Yeah, that would be dangerous a bit. Okay, cool, thanks.
By the way, there is also something I couldn't demo now because it's not working, but just something I think as a food for thought for the new gallery, because we have something called media theme, and it also has a deployment feature. Now the media theme it's a simple theme that loads not just static resources like scripts, but also images and everything, and can also do static resource inclusions where the media is stored, where the theme is stored in the media folder. So basically, you can store a theme in the media folder, and like a normal theme, so you can develop it in Visual Studio and everything, and it will load it and process it and present it as a real theme. But the cool thing here is that you can also deploy it automatically. This is not working right now, but basically you can give it a zip file, so an URL to a zip file, and it will deploy that theme from that URL. It will extract the zip and deploy it into the suitable place. But it's not only capable of that, but there is also a callback URL. It's also included in this hint here. So you can configure your source control to call that callback URL with an arbitrary password, and that will invoke an automatic deployment. So media theme deployment will then take this URL, download the zip, and deploy the theme. So this is some technique that perhaps we could use with the new gallery to automatically publish modules and themes, because it's very simple. It's source control agnostic. You could even put the zip file in Dropbox or SkyDrive or anything else. There is this hook URL that lets you do all this automatically too.
So let's say I uploaded a zip that had a virus in it. Would that would affect the other tenants? So surely, because they all sit alongside each other?
I'm not sure I get your question. Sorry, could you please?
So the question, the simple question is, can we push some DLL inside the module, the theme? Sorry.
No. Yeah, and that would be an answer also to Bertrand's remark. Here's the theme that I wanted to demo. It looks like a normal theme. So you have images, scripts, styles, and even a single view, and also placement.info. This will be processed entirely as static resources. So even if we have a view here that you can see includes some scripts and a style sheet, this won't run, and you can't run DLLs. This will be processed actually.
But I can run some code here in the view.
No, you can't. So this resources, the CSHTML will be deployed, or rather copied to the media, but that's just a static storage. But this will be never run. This will be processed as a text file to parse out these inclusions. That will be so these resource inclusions will then be mimicked by the framework, but no code will be run.
You can put code into your views? You can put real code into your views?
There can be only a single view. So what you can do from such a media theme is limited, but it is its development. So there can be only a single view.
It's a very restricted form of theming.
Yeah, so you can't have views, just a single one with resource inclusions.
How
very restricted from theming, yes. But it's it's usable in a wide variety of cases.
So it needs to be a theme that derives from a well-known theme that has the code that you need?
No.
I don't understand how this is useful. I'm sorry.
Because you
static
can write
files. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. So CSS, scripts, images, a favicon. The only thing, and placement too. The placement is processed as well. The only thing you can't do is to run code.
I'm sorry. I'm probably missing something here. I don't really understand how this is useful.
I haven't shown the site because it's not working right now. But for a wide variety of sites, this amount of theming is enough. Because if you don't need shape overrides, then this will work. Only if you need shape overrides, then shape template overrides, then that's what you can't do. But anything else that you do from a theme, you can.
I guess I'm clearly not the target for this kind of feature.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think I've ever written a theme that doesn't have any shapes in it. But okay, so typically you just style sheet and images, and you would just be relying on the default templates for all the shapes. So even the layout, where would the layout come from?
That's coming from the default layout. Or if you have another theme enabled, then it can come from that theme as well.
Yeah, I mean that would start to be useful from the moment you have this as a derived theme from a full theme that's been installed on that machine. Then I can see how it could be useful. You could take the theme machine and just apply some styling and get something completely different. But if you don't have a base theme, I don't see it as useful. So.
But you can do that. So
right. Yeah, there is no reason why your manifest here couldn't point to an existing theme.
Not that one here, but let me. The manifest here. So as you can see, there is a base theme.
Exactly.
The point here is that a pretty good Bootstrap base theme isn't doing anything with shapes, but still you can use it as a base theme or any similar base theme as well. Because,
okay, I understand. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, and I think Nick asked something. Yeah, you can't override other tenants' theme. So the tenants are isolated, of course. That was your question?
Yeah, well, when you share a theme lives in a theme folder, right? In the themes folder. So I was thinking, you're not uploading themes there, right? Or are you uploading themes to the media directory?
To the media, right? It's
Right,
actually
okay.
stored in Glossary.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so that was it, guys. Thank you for your attention. We really hope this will be something cool, and we will continue to improve it because it's far from being finished, of course.
That's cool. I want it with my REST API, but you've already seen that. And then you don't need a theme. It's fine.
Sorry, what was it with the REST API?
If I can have it with my REST API, I'm fine because I don't need the theme. I just want APIs.
Yeah, that will be one very cool use case indeed.
So questions, where is it hosted?
It's in Azure.
Oh,
it's actually an Azure website.
So
and there is a cloud service sitting in front of it as a reverse proxy.
Okay. Domain name. You must have been very happy when you found the domain name.
The .NET?
Yes.
Yeah. It was weeks of brainstorming to come up with that name. It was a bad idea actually.
.NET was mine. Lombik was Zoltan's, but finding out the name for Lombik took us like 2 years almost. .NET was only a few weeks.
The question. So you have a dev who's a security expert. Can you fire him and hire a design expert?
Yeah, and a UX expert.
Yeah, and a font expert. You see, everyone agrees.
Yeah, I fully agree.
And nothing to do with Orchard, but on your websites and this one, remove this big chunky menu with squares and it's an opinion, okay.
It seems to be a popular opinion.
Okay. So okay. Otherwise, nice job. Technically,
we get way too many plus ones.
Do a plus 100. That's my new internal joke in Microsoft. That's my forum. Yeah. Okay. What did I miss on the chat? Blah 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 blah. Web 3.0. That's right. Web 3.0. Flat. Nice. So what can I do with that? Host my Orchard website.
Yeah. So
okay, you can provide more recipes.
We could. So you can write arbitrary recipes, of course. So that's not a constraint. But currently there are only the 3 default recipes for setup.
I can write arbitrary recipes?
Yes.
You don't want to do that.
No way.
I won't expose any security issue in your website, but you don't want to do that. Okay.
But what do you mean? Because
no, not publicly. It's recorded and everything, and in private. I will tell you let me hack your website in 3 seconds, and then I will show you.
All right, please do it.
That's obvious. Okay, nice, good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the next thing now. And there's a pricing page. Okay, oh, it's empty. Okay, good. Yeah, Microsoft is paying for everything, I assume.
We are
somehow
employed by Microsoft.
Bespark, thank you. So it can be free. Good thing. Okay, very nice. First Orchard as a service solution. Blake. Good, nice demos today, and we're on time. One more point on the conference. You've seen I tweeted about some trial dates. And I say June 2nd and 3rd, okay? For some reasons. Main reason is that it's pretty full actually during this period of time at Microsoft, so we don't have so much choice in terms of dates. It's a Monday and Tuesday. It will be hard to get something else. It depends on actually the number of people we expect. So the question is, how many people should we expect and then reserve the space for? First edition, we were 75. Second edition, we were something? Or more, maybe 90?
The second one was around 90, but I think more than 100.
So it should be, yeah. So Ilan, you can talk whenever you want, if you can. I will not expect more than 150, or we could also block at 150 or block at 100. Like the first 100 will be there. Yeah, so it depends. If we say 500, it will be another issue. But I don't think we should expect more than 150, or at least if we are 150, it's more than what we could expect. And financing won't be an issue because it will be completely financed by the fees, the attendee fees, and sponsors will be able to do awesome nights. It will be in 3 months, which lets us the time to book plane tickets and that not so expensive price, because early June is fine. Later in June is not so fine from Europe, for instance. I could find some travels from Paris, Amsterdam for less than $1,000, like 700 euros, which is fine. But later in June it will be double that. So this might be an issue if we postpone it later. Earlier is hard because of the availability of rooms. So if we say we limit the number of attendees to 100, we could have more flexibility. If we say 150, we have less flexibility. So
if we limit it to 100, does that mean we can change the date?
You won't be able to vote on that. Yes. Yes, because a big room can handle small number of people, so they're available. But small rooms can't handle lots of people. So by decreasing the number of people we expect, yes, we have more possibilities in terms of rooms. And then in terms of availability of these rooms. That's it. So at 150, this will be June 2nd and 3rd. Maybe Nick can record a session.
What, from the beach?
Hmm?
I'll be on the beach.
Sorry. There's a beach in Seattle. Lots of beaches in Seattle.
If you do it on the 2nd or the 3rd, I'll be in St. Lucia. So
that's warmer than in Seattle.
Last time you did it, I was in Vietnam. So
I don't know where you find all this vacation and the money to go on vacation, honestly. And you're married, no, don't you?
Engaged.
Engaged. Make kids, you won't be able to move anymore.
Then I'll never be able to come.
I'll explain you. I can help you if you want. Okay, so think about that. I think we'll have to make a decision this week. Otherwise, we won't even have the 2nd and 3rd of June. I'll maybe come with you individually, the committee and Ilan. Well, Ilan is in the committee to decide what the options are with 100 and what the options are with 150, and then decide if we want to limit to 100. And maybe we won't even reach 100. But I think we will. So if you want to limit to 100 and have more options. What do you say +1 too, Ilan? Yeah, again.
Alright.
Yeah, a full 100 is nice. We've been at 100, it was very nice, and people liked it. So yeah, I will try to see some options, and we'll decide based on that. And the money won't be an issue for 100 and 150. It won't be an issue. Everything should be taken care of.
Even me.
Yes, who is writing that? Ilan. Yes, being at Microsoft, there will be more demand, local demand, because Seattle is huge in terms of techies. So lots of people will come, I'm sure, from the local communities. We saw that in Santa Monica and also in Amsterdam. Local people come a lot. Half of the people were like local guys. And also Microsoft folks will probably join because it's local, so they just have to show up. It will be easier for us to get speakers from Microsoft and also attendees because there are more and more Microsoft customers in Microsoft Orchard. So they will certainly come. So that's also something to take into account. We might exceed 100 just because of Microsoft people. There are a lot, I'm telling you. If it's there, I'm sure there will be 20 guys from Microsoft showing up every day, at least. So that's, yeah. So let's make a status next week and decide when it is, okay? And I'll come this week with some other dates for fewer attendees. And in terms of organization, if you know, don't care or care, what is nice is that we will be able to, so the catering and everything will be handled by Microsoft services, internal services, but they can invoice an external entity, like a foundation or whatever. So we can pay from the outside. It's not just based on Microsoft funds, which was my main fear. So this should be very fine. Okay, that's it for today. We'll do triaging next week if the demos are not so long. Any question, comments?
I have one, Sébastien. What's the status and the plan for getting 1.8 out the door?
We wait for the demo for next week.
Gotcha.
And the time to decide if we take the module in core and to migrate the module as a core module. We should not be that slow. And yeah.
Have you had a chance to review the calendar support pull request yet?
Not yet, but it was fine. So when you show the demo, so this morning I wanted to do, and I blogged, and I was actually wondering where the PR was, and I'm sure I will find it if I look into the PRs, the history in the last 2 weeks. So don't worry, I will do it.
Yeah. All right.
You changed the stuff that we gave as feedback, did you? I saw change in pull request.
Yeah, I did. I updated the pull request with everything that we discussed.
Okay. Good. That's it. Any other question? Nope. Good. Awesome meeting today, as usual. Even more awesome than usual. So next week, Zoltan, what demo? Because, well, we didn't have any demo for 2 months. So that makes sense. So the next one will wait for 2 months?
Yeah, something big as well.
Okay, good. Have a good week, guys, and yeah. Orchard. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.